Let's talk about the three biggest things that new home buyers are afraid of. And the number one thing is affordability. Buyers don't know where the market is going, and they don't know what exactly they can afford at the present moment. I don't care if you're moving to New Jersey, moving to Texas, moving to California, moving to New York. The biggest issue with home buyers is affordability. Can they afford to make that monthly payment? Can they also afford to pay those property taxes and so on? So the number one thing is affordability. And the one way to get around that is to, of course, consult with a mortgage broker or a banker and have them go over your finances to figure out, how much you can afford, what type of mortgage you can afford. And that will determine where you're going to buy your first home. And there's a lot of fail-safes there. I mean, even when you're in the process of buying a home, the bank is going to come out and do an appraisal, and there's a bunch of other things they're going to do when they're looking at your finances. So there's a lot that happens when it comes to affordability, and that's, really the easy part, is to figure out how much you can afford when you're out there searching for a home, all right? So that's of course, most important. The second biggest thing that homeowners are afraid of are the cost of repairs or the condition of its home. And I see a lot of home buyers, especially if they're first home buyers, they're very cautious and they're afraid because they don't know if they're walking into a money pit. They've heard horror stories from their family members. They've heard horror stories from their friends, even friends that don't even own a home. But everybody's going to give you input on this here, and you're not going to know what to do or where to turn. The one thing that happens during the process is you do a home inspection. Now, home inspections are non-invasive, meaning that the home inspector can't go behind the walls or anything, but what they can do is suggest that you need further inspections by a trained professional in that field. For instance, if a home inspector goes into a home and they look at an electrical panel and they open it up and they think there's something wrong there, they can't start tearing apart the electrical panel and looking into it and pulling things behind the wall. But what they can do is say, hey, I suggest you get a professional electrician to come in here and look at the home. Same thing with chimneys. And they will look at the chimney. They can visually inspect it. They can look up the chimney. They can go on the roof and look at it. They can look at the pointing of the chimney. But then they will tell you, hey, you need to hire a certified chimney expert to come in and look at that. Now, of course, home buyers are thinking, wow, that's going to cost more money. But you're buying a home. You have to extend, or expect to extend yourself beyond your comfortability there with your finances when you're doing these inspections, because in the long run it's probably worth more to spend that little bit of money now than wait till later when you have a bigger issue. Now, what are some of the things that can go wrong with the home? A lot of things can go wrong with the home. There are large items like roof is a big item, furnace is a big item, a foundation is a big item. If there's an oil tank that needs to be removed, that's a big item. And I talk about oil tanks in another one of my videos out there you can look at, and, we can dive deeper into that at a later date. But these are some of the big items that, home buyers are afraid of. If you have a competent home inspector and you have a competent real estate agent, you're going to mitigate a lot of that risk when you're going out there and looking at things. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 plus years now, and I know whether or not a home is going to be good or bad just by walking into it and seeing some things. But there is always those unforeseen items like, pulling up a wall and finding some mold or something that you didn't initially see in the first inspection. It's not the end of the world. And I always suggest that home buyers, especially first-time home buyers, when they're buying a home, they should buy a home warranty product for at least a year until they get to learn the house. It'll give you a little bit of peace of mind. If something big does kick off, at least you're going to have some kind of support behind it. A lot of people say that the home warranties are a pain, but you know what? They are. I have one. I use it. It is a pain sometimes, but at the end of the day, things get done. So my advice would be, buy a home warranty for the first year. Cost you $500 for the year, depending on what part of the country you're in, and that's really it. Now, the third thing that home buyers are afraid of is not finding a trusted resource or a realtor that has the experience to work with them. Let's face it, the entry into the real estate industry, the bar has been set even lower the last couple of years. And sometimes you're not working with an agent that's competent. A competent agent will walk into a home and at least give you an idea of what's going on with the home. They may not know exactly how the mechanics are and everything else, but if you walk into a basement and you smell dampness, or if you see some hint of mold or a water line, you can basically say, hey, there's some water issues here with this basement. We need to figure out and investigate it further if you decide to put an offer on a home. All right, so you need that also for the area. What type of area? Is the area going to be conducive for your lifestyle? Do you have children? Are you concerned about the schools? Are you concerned about how close it is to work, what the commute is, what's going on with the town? Is the town in an upward trajectory or a downward trajectory? These are all things that a competent real estate agent will help you with, and hold your hand through the process and explain the process to you and walk you through the negotiations, and walk you through also the home inspections, and also walk you through the appraisals and the whole process, and get you settled in your new home. Okay? So these are, some of the main three things that home buyers look for. Not only when they're buying a home in New Jersey, not only when they're buying a home in Nutley, when probably they're buying a home all over the world. They're looking for, affordability, conditions of home inspections, an agent to help guide them and have the knowledge and experience that you can trust. Okay? All right, guys. Matt DeFeedy, Realty Executives, Elite Homes in Nutley, New Jersey. Have a great day.